Hello to everyone watching us out there. Welcome to Logical-NDE, a place where we exchange stories of people's close calls with death that they tell us about. If this is your first time viewing one of our videos, we would like to let you know that we create content for curious individuals who are interested in learning more about the afterlife. We sincerely appreciate your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel if you genuinely enjoy viewing these kinds of stories. This way, you'll be able to stay up to date on all of our new releases, including this one. For our devoted listeners, indeed it certainly appears to be the absolutely ideal hour in time to settle with a good cup of tea and keep on going to savor today's session as we continue discussing the near-death experience of a young woman of 28 years old from Arizona when she experienced 10 minutes of being on the other side. Let us discover claims Mrs. Denise makes through her narrative in her own words. It was the evening of 30th August, year 2015, when the monsoon had just kicked in, and I got to experience an incident that altered my life forever. I was from Phoenix, a beautiful city I had lived my entire childhood in. Our house held the most special memories for me from those early days of my life with Mom and Dad. I had recently gotten back to Arizona from London after my husband passed away due to a health complication. It was a tough time of my life, but my family and friends were there for me. I held on to the string of life for the sake of my mental health and my parents. I had only been married for a year when we found out Ronald had a brain tumor and that it was growing at a breakneck speed. After months of rotations to the hospitals and chemotherapies and radiotherapies, Ronald peacefully died in his sleep. It was a very hard phase of life for me. Ronald and I had been together since high school. Registering his death took me a longer time than I had expected. There were nightmares. There was a trauma that kept brewing inside me because I didn't know how to share my feelings with anyone except him. I stopped going out to public places and even took a month's break from my job. My friends noticed something was off and quickly informed my parents to take me to Arizona. They realized living in London in the house Ronald and I had built together from scratch would take a serious toll on my mental health. The night I reached Phoenix and went to sleep, I had a strange body ache. I considered it to be a result of jet lag, but it kept increasing. I carried myself to bed, but walking towards my bed, I felt like someone pushed me hard, and I fell straight on the floor. I tried to scramble to my feet, but now the pain in my gut had gotten unbearable. What happened next was something I had never even imagined in my wildest dreams. I saw a figure appear from behind me, dressed in all black. It was a skeletal figure, shrouded in a dark, hooded robe and carrying a scythe in his hands. Nothing was visible about him except that there was fresh blood dripping from the scythe. The entire room reeked of a morgue. I knew what was about to happen, and I screamed at the top of my lungs. The moment the sound escaped my mouth, the man struck his scythe straight into my head. He released me and then struck me again. I don't know what happened after, but the next time my eyes opened, I could still feel blood pooling out of the back of my head. There was so much pain I couldn't breathe. My eyes bled profusely and my skull had cracked in several places. I was in a dark room and the ground burned. I was chained to the ground. The next minute, the figure appeared again. He still had the scythe in his hand. I knew he was going to strike me again, so I closed my eyes, ready to embrace my fate. I cried, but instead of tears, blood leaked from my eyes. The pain got too much to bear. Just as I was about to pass out, the scythe reached for me again. This time, I spotted the face of the man in the hood. It was one of the most horrendous sights I still remember very vividly. There were hideous stitches in his eyes. I screamed, but the metal had already pierced through my skull once again. I knew I was paying for all the sins I had done in my life. I wished for a second so I could turn back to the world and apologize to God for everything wrong I had ever done. But it was too late. I had to face all of this alone here in this room, till I was given a justified result of all my wrongdoings from my life. I could feel the heat in the room hiking up. The demon dragged me by my hair as the chains in my feet clanked. I writhed in pain as I was being carried through the rocky floor. My clothes were torn in the process. There was soot in the air, and I couldn't manage to take in oxygen at all. The monster was taking me to hell. I tried to run away, but the chains had cut through my flesh and paralyzed me. I was going to get thrown into hell. I started sweating and bawling my eyes out. Nothing seemed to work on that demon. He dragged towards the edge of the cliff that burned as if hot lava had been running over it. I screeched and cried in pain as the heat started to melt all of my skin. The next second, the demon pushed me down the mountain, and I went to the pit of hell. Howling in pain, I wanted to hold on to something as I burned down completely. As soon as I was about to meet this fire, I opened my eyes. I was back in my room. I quickly ran my hand to the back of my head to check for an injury, but there seemed to be none. I ran to the bathroom mirror, and there was no trace of blood on my face at all. I looked completely pale, as if someone had sucked the life out of me and given it back. I felt relieved and horrified at the same time. This incident stays glued to my head till date. I am now fully aware that there is an afterlife where we will have to give full repercussions of all our bad deeds that we commit in this world. The 10 minutes of complete horror that I spent in the other world gave me a new spirit to become more empathetic and a nicer person towards the entire world. From that particular day, I kept a diary with me to keep up on all bad habits that I had and tried to erase them from my life one by one. Even though there is still a lot that I need to work on, I know that this incident has made me a better person. God wanted to show me how important it is to remember the afterlife in all matters of this world. We are all going to be summoned on the day of judgment for all that we do here. My horrifying experience built a fear in me and strengthened my faith in God in a way to keep me away from all wrongdoings of this world, and I will be forever thankful to the Almighty for it. That was all from Mrs. Denise's experience. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any thoughts regarding her visit to the next world, make sure to leave a comment down below. Remember to be respectful at all times. In case you really liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and spread it among friends who share the same interest of knowing about the afterlife experiences as you. Till the next time, stay blessed.